Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the winter circuit of DBDLeague. We have the lower bracket round 2 today. That means that 4 amazing teams have to pack their bag after today and say goodbye. Obviously, this is always a very, very difficult moment for us because who wants to drop amazing participants and who wants to say goodbye to them? But fortunately, there's only one crown after we had 65 applicants for the winter circuit in the first place. And we have to work out who's moving forward into the semi-finals. Therefore, today, stream stacked with pressure onto the teams, stacked with a lot of expectations. And before you're all wondering, you are seeing a very, very nice co-cast Reoxium in the scene. We are hoping she's arriving because right now we do not have any information where she is. We are very sure that it has a very good reason. Maybe traffic, maybe workplace, not entirely sure. But right now it's going to be me alone. But DBDLeague wouldn't be DBDLeague if we cannot pull a secret card out of the back pocket. And we have a wonderful back pocket card here. And that is our analyst Ratz. Hello, welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to see those teams today in action. I will be here the entire time as I will be producing for you guys and also hopefully be the analyst throughout all the matches, not just the first one here in the campfire chat. So we'll be able to get more insight in that in between the matches later on as well. But first up, we've got Torment versus Infinity Dire. 3 sets, Plague, Artist, and Doctor.
Yeah, 3 killers that are absolutely incredible to watch and so different and diverse in their playstyle. Plague, we were talking about it a couple of times. We had her on Suffocation Pit for a long time. Painful 3 and 4 gen setups were possible. Now we have moved her to Torment Creek. Plague hasn't been on any cornfield map for a super long time. So, Ratz, Torment Creek, maybe not as painful in terms of the map shape when you have a 3 or 4 gen setup. Is there still something special about Torment Creek Plague that is very tricky for the Survivor team?
The thing about Plague on Torment Creek is that it is very chase-orientated. A killer that, obviously, when you look at Torment, is very much in their favor from their playstyle, right? They're 4 really good chase-orientated survivors. And we have seen Plague once last weekend. We have seen not anyone 4K on this map, but both killers managed to get a lot of stages. There's a lot of potential for this killer to get a lot of stages. However, you need to look at the add-ons, maybe Double Apple or the Seal to infect everybody. But either way, you'll be able to hold an M1 chase on this map, and if you want to use the power for that first chase, you'll be lacking it for the tunnel out or for other chases to get those painter stacks to slow down the game for those stages that you want to collect. So I'm really confident that Torment is honestly going to take this set home because they have picked it, they're comfortable on it, and it's a very chase-orientated set because, at least as we have seen last weekend, we'll see a lot of bloodlusting and the power is very much limited also with the size of the map where you can take the chase to. Mm-hmm. So it can go both ways. There's a lot of potential for both sides to also mess up and do that mistake, get hooked next to a pool or get tunnel out, make a mess happen in a M1 chase or something, run into the dead zone. But it's definitely very much chase orientated because you can't give that M1 tag on this map.
And this is I feel like this is something that will really hype up this best of 3 even more because chase orientation, more action, more skill testing in these terms as well, more mind games potentially that are really coming in clutch, deciding how much time can we put into the generators. Is the killer potentially overcommitting to a survivor? Is the decision making on point, finding the balance between generator gardens and chasing the survivor? So that is going to be interesting. Artist is a very mixed killer, I would say. A lot of people say, if the killer is placing the crows correctly, the survivors do not really have a chance to stand, especially on these short distance loops, etc. But we have seen Artist facing some struggles last week on Father Campbell's Chapel, most of the time, especially when the survivors were throwing their bodies in or trying to get a little bit of distance, and then really showing us that the artist, as strong as she might be in shorter loops and in low distance, that if you coordinate correctly and if you build up your pressure early on in the early game, then you really have a chance to stand against her. And I think the artist, every time we were seeing her, had to go out with just a few stages here. Now, Infinity coming out on the artist first later on. I feel like Torment and Infinity both good coordinated survivor teams with a lot of chemistry. Is this going to be potentially the set where the team chemistry is the ultimate factor?
This is definitely a big factor. Team chemistry is gonna come in very big here. We have seen Torment last weekend against Night Owls play very very altruistic on the demo set, where it's also very much chase-orientated killer, taking lots of protection hits against, like, in lots of situations. I definitely think we're gonna see that again here on the artist, because also it's needed. I don't know how Infinity is going to deal with this. However, we have seen Torment struggle a little bit with the coordination of specific. Got an invite here. Setting up the lobby in the background. We have seen Torment struggle a little bit with the coordination that Infinity probably is trying to capitalize on with the artist pick, because it's a killer that also requires a lot of game sense and, as you said, coordination on the survivor side to perform well on. Because otherwise, sure, you might delay the first down and you might tank hits, but then you'll end up with everybody injured, and maybe if the death location is not in the spot that you want it to be, it can still backfire really quickly, and the artist will be able to get that pressure that you talked about in the early game, even if the first down is delayed a lot. However, it's a pick that Infinity, I'm sure they're still comfortable on, because it's a killer that requires a lot of also game sense on killer, but, you know, Torment also has Synox to play. I've seen Synox play artists on a different tournament half a year ago. It was very convincing. So we'll see how that's gonna go. If you wanna go to the tiebreaker already, to the doctor, or if you wanna do the predictions next, go ahead.
Yeah, we need to move forward to the prediction. First of all, big shout out to Ratz, functioning as producer and analyst today, and now last second as a campfire chat caster as well. We're still trying to find out if Ray is making it in time. We'll see. But big shout out to Ratz. We were just talking about predictions here. Ratz, I'll not throw you under the bus again. You're busy in the background. I will make a prediction though, and I will go towards Torment. It will be interesting to see what the community, what the chat is saying about this first matchup, but I feel like Torment really has this 1% more, let's say, bite when it comes to it. This last meter you have to run in a marathon, this last centimeter you have to jump in a competition, this last something you need to add to your performance to make it happen. And I feel like that Infinity is a great team and has great chemistry, but if I compare these two teams, I feel like this 1% missing that is needed to survive in the winter circuit is on the side of Team Torment. We hope that everyone is excited for Torment versus Infinity. We have a very exciting best of 3 ahead of us. A lot of pressure on the shoulders of the teams here, as one of them is packing their things today and will leave the competition. Plague, Artist, and Doctor in the first best of 3, and we will see you after a very short break. Welcome in, everyone. Let's start this best of 3 between Torment and Infinity. We are going into the Torment Creek set and the Plague, and there's the next back pocket of DBDL. When you don't have a caster, well then find a caster. Carrie is with me today, originally just casting 1 game with me, and now it's going to be 2. Carrie, I'm so excited.
Oh, it was so nice. We had to do it twice. And we're doing 2 games. We're doing 2 games today. So we've got a lot of time together. And I am glad. And some good content as well. As French Looper, I imagine, will be almost ready to be insta-down by the Plague as she enters the broken state after being fully sicked. Not quite enough just yet as Zarnox chasing around the L wall. A nice time flashbang lets her vault the T, but she's got to be close now. Takes the hit. The broken status effect didn't quite come in time, and she survives for a little bit longer.
And this little bit of time is so important, especially in the early game where you want to get as much pressure as possible. Here, Plague rotating once again whatsoever. 2 injuries, fully broken even already here. Good start for our Plague. A little bit of regression coming in as well. We have the power available right next to the Harvest. Zynox realizes that, and it seems like that this is going to be the decision for the early game. Will this Pew come through? The answer is no. Nancy with a very impressive dodge here towards the right side, but now in the difficult position, out-scouted onto the far away from the pallet of the jungle gym. That's a quick down right here. However, the first generator has been completed.
Yeah, and a nice bit of play there from Nancy as well. For those of you who might not be too familiar with competitive Dead by Daylight and wondering why Nancy was going down in the corner of the map, the Plague's power is super oppressive. Once she's got her Vile Purge, it's really difficult to dodge anything. Nancy recognizes that, respects Zynox's ability to hit Plague's power, and just decides to die in the corner of the map to buy a little bit of time, because Plague's got to take... When she's carrying a survivor, you're much slower. So it takes a longer time to get to the gen. Nancy can buy a little bit of time dancing around the rock. Every single second in competitive Dead by Daylight matters. So Nancy just buying her team a little bit more time. And 1 gen down, but Zynox is still in power.
Zynox still in power for a few seconds, really trying to find another survivor to chase here, but it seems like he will not be lucky and not be rewarded. Eruption going to be applied on a few generators here. The Pain Rest did a lot of work as well, yet the survivor team already on 75% next to the cow tree here. A little bit of puking as an information tool now. You will be immediately notified once Serial or Nox are moving towards the gens, and that's going to be very confident. First try, a lot of killers would expect that there's a lot of faking going on, and then the patience mind game would start. But Serial just going for it with confidence, that was impressive.
Yeah, he just didn't care. He ran in without a care in the world. Maybe he didn't even realize Plague was there. He just went in, and what that means is because Plague didn't hit him before he got the unhook, he managed to get away to safety. There was no trade. Nancy does go down pretty soon though afterwards to an M1 on a jungle gym, so maybe not exactly what Infinity were hoping for there, but a nice play from Serial, who I think's perk of Desperate Measures helped a little bit there as it speeded up the unhook time.
Now the rehook happening onto Nancy. Her second hook stage so far, 60 seconds away from the first elimination with 3 generators standing. That is really not going to be the best situation to be in. So our survivor team either going to a good coordinated save or getting more pressure into the generators here. We are operating a lot on the bottom side, and that's very understandable because Zynox has a very beautiful 4 gen down here. We do have the Harvest, the gen 2 around the hook, and then on the right side in this T&L wall. Not the safest area for the survivors. Some pallets have already been dropped, quite open to puke on the survivors as well. So I feel like Zynox right now inside this generator setup with his hook stage really much vibing.
Yeah, I think so, and his build coming into it, Eruption, we're going to see a lot of value from that as we get down towards the latter stages of this game. And what I think is important to note is that none of the survivors who we saw on generators are going to be able to finish them before the unhook, so they have to get off them and interact with the Plague before they can safely pop some generators, and they might just let their teammate die. Yes, that gen pops, but the teammate does die. Nancy goes down. We're down to 3 survivors, but with 2 generators remaining. Something we often see in competitive Dead by Daylight, Dyer.
Something needs to be done against a strong survivor team, and this is definitely what Zynox is trying here, eliminating this survivor and keeping an amazing generator setup on the bottom side. That is usually you get one or the other, but getting both of it is really hard, because usually the survivors will punish you by breaking down your generator setup, and we still have this wonderful 4 gen there on the bottom side, 3 gen on the bottom side. This one on the top side is now being broken out as well. Zynox has calculated very well here, realizes that he has enough time to even cross the entire map, getting the power, now moving over towards puking onto French Looper, who had a very good start into this game here, but against the power and the shack, it's not going to be enough. Therefore, it's going to be a quick rehook onto the Claudette. Meanwhile, this generator here with Carry, I don't think that's enough time.
No, I don't think so. Even if, and what I think what's crucial here is this a pain res, because that could really hamper it. We can't quite see. Cyril didn't check back on the generator for us. I don't think it would have been just by chances. And no, we can see that generator still pretty high progress. So no pain resonance on that hook next to the gen, which could be really big. Because if survivors are continually hooked on the hook near their completed generator, that's going to be pain reses for each survivor, and that gen will just be whittled down. So now they're going to have to spread out, maybe start some other gens. And yeah, if maybe French Looper could have survived a little bit longer, that gen could have been completed. But really, really tough spot. You're against Plague's power. It's so oppressive.
Yeah, now it's going to be really hard. Generator efficiency is significantly shorter as well, as we have already lost one teammate. French Loopers on the hook. One teammate will need to rotate, and as soon as then a chase starts, no one is able to work on the generators anymore. We do see resilience coming a little bit into clutch here, since our survivor is injured, but these few percentages will not make the necessary difference. Good for Serial to not hit the to not take the hit with the power here. He will stay healthy and could potentially rotate down towards the hook teammate, but Zynox keeping a very good, is that a floating plane? Fighting on the main building? Yeah, you can tell how good of a position Zynox has right now. He's omega vibing.
He's loving life. Oh, French Looper hits second stage there before the rescue. So French Looper, if they get downed again, it's going to be an instant elimination. I don't know if that, yes, there wasn't a spectator bug. They are, and they've gone down to the edge of the map to the power DS. Now, how much value are you going to get off this? Because you're right on the edge of the map. You do hit it this time, no Xeno moment. You're on the edge of the map, you're against Plague's power. All survives for a little bit longer, but DS just isn't as strong as it used to be. Buys the team a little bit more time, but I don't think it's enough. Could we get a Beaver save? Oh, we get it, Dyer!
Yo, running for an infinity after this beautiful flashlight save coming in. One thing you have to give them, they are fighting and they are not giving up. From a corner DS into crouch taking, then into flashlight save. Really, really impressive showing. And that means that 3 survivors are staying alive. No one of them on the hook. That also cuts out the necessary save and reset time, so the survivors can put the pressure into the gens here. Nox, unfortunately, trying to be a little bit too much in safety by dropping this pallet early. Our other 2 survivors teaming up on the bottom side. I'm not too optimistic, as we have seen this generator taking a lot of regression. One of them is already positioning themselves in the midsection to have a shorter way towards the unhook, so I don't think it will be enough just yet, but Infinity definitely on a good way to go into endgame potentially.
Yeah, it's a second life they've given themselves with the DS and the flashlight save. I think you were right with Nox, though. He wanted a bit of security at that short wall jungle gym, tried to preemptively drop the pallet, and that just left him exposed to Plague's power. So yes, it's super good, but there are ways to avoid it, and I think he went down a little bit earlier before his time was ready. Nice stun there from Cyril. With the blind, should be able to get good distance, but I don't think Plague is too interested on him. He's still fresh, and she wants kills at this stage. Well, that gen's pretty far ticked, but Nox is rotating early.
Yeah, Zynox has the bloodlust here for more survivors, wants to get a second survivor out of the game. We do see the rotation constantly. As soon as the chase on Shaq is starting, someone rotates over Country towards the generator. Again, good communication here, instantly being aware that Plague is rotating. Serial leaving back towards the main building, still has a little bit until full infection, therefore should be fine, especially with the sprint burst we have seen earlier. But also these pallets that granted the final straw of safety are all gone now, but it will eventually be enough onto the generator pressure. Endgame for Infinity, and I would say they even take some stages out of the door here. What an impressive comeback.
Yeah, definitely stages out the door. I mean, both the wild purchase pools have been used. Cyril goes down. It's the best result here for Zynox because Cyril has 3 stages remaining. It's the final fresh hook they need if we do get down to that final win condition. But crucially, it's an extra 3 stages. But what a turnaround for Infinity. Getting 2 survivors out the door, 3 stages out the door. It looked so bad, but the DS flashlight save combo just gave them that second win, a second chance, and wow, did they capitalize.
Absolutely, a great comeback from Team Infinity here for a long time. We really talked about it. Usually You do see the tunnel out, but you lose your generator setup as a punishment. Zynox had everything. He had the elimination, he had the generator setup. Now, we do not want to necessarily talk about a mistake from the killer side, but maybe something didn't go as optimal as it seemed like with this with what he had in the mid-game. We have our wonderful analyst from Team Night Owls, Ratz. What do you think about this comeback from Infinity? Was it responsibility on the killer side, or have they just performed so much out of their mind that there was no chance to defend it?
I think they did a great job. There was definitely a very, very oppressive performance from Zynox there.
It's like our analyst is...
He's lost
Oh,
for
I'm
words.
sorry,
He's-
I'm sorry. I'm here. I was just muted on Discord. I was actually talking to the stream already. I was talking about Zynox having a very impressive game here. That was really, really confident from him to show, like, he grabbing the first power, even though he doesn't have double apples with like the duration add-on, to go for the early power to get that first down as soon as possible, and then being able to get the tunnel out, or like the second stage of the tunnel out with the camp, and then the oh no, sorry, it wasn't a camp. He was trying to camp, but like the M1 hit. So like that M1 hit is the only reason why the tunnel out was able to go through, because he only has 2 powers, but he needs to down that survivor 3 times, right? And he managed to get that done, but Infinity just like saying, you know what, it's fine, we know we have the 3-gen here, and we know it's tied 3-gen, and we can play the 3 versus 1. They showed that they can play it. They've played the end game phenomenally, like only giving 8 stages considering the situations they were in. So that was really well done by Infinity to come back from this. However, now Infinity's up against Torment, and they have to play similarly, get those 8 stages, 4 stage freshers is the win con, which is a hell of a task to achieve. You might as well go for the same strategy like a tunnel out maybe 4K. You can only adjust the add-ons right now because the perks are locked in. You have to lock in the perks before the first trial of the set has been played, so I haven't looked in what they've locked in yet, but it's gonna be a rough task definitely to go against Torment on an M1 chase like this to confirm the victory here.
I've got a little question for you, Ratz. In that, after we saw the DS and the flashlight save, was there anything really that Zynox could do? Like, did they misplay at all? Because they kind of lost sight of the person they were trying to tunnel out. They lost that pressure, and the tunnel out person could kind of always get to safety. What's the next play? What should be the play that the Plague's making there? Or did they just get kind of outplayed by the survivors?
I think they just kind of get outplayed by the survivors, right? Like the survivor managed to couch tech, which is totally fine, running edge map and then using the decisive strike to just buy a little bit more time. That's nothing that you can really avoid, because there's, especially with a new decisive strike, there's not really any point waiting it out. The flash save was definitely avoidable, but then again, do you expect it, right? Like, you kind of, if you're Zynox, you're sitting there and like, you know what, I need to get the survivor onto the hook as soon as possible to secure the 4K, and then you expect the other people to work the gens or stack the generators out, and unless the survivor deliberately dies on a pallet where you could maybe expect a pallet save, flashlight saves are much more unlikely to happen, especially if you're looking already towards the edge of the map. So that's just kind of unlucky for him, but well played for Infinity to read that, I guess. Because it can also backfire, right? If Zynox heard them come closer while being infected, he can just turn around, chase him off, and then have him waste time for not getting the flashlight save, or worst case, even go down on top of them. So it's like a risk-reward kind of thing, but it worked out for Infinity, so...
Yeah, it absolutely did, and they did so well, as Mindar was saying, to turn that one around. Now, though, we've got Infinity now on the side of Killer, as Ratz was mentioning. It is still a pretty tough win condition to meet. They haven't won the game yet. We're only halfway through. Realistically, based on things we've seen of Infinity in the past, but crucially, this Torment side, who are full of incredible loopers. Is it going to be too tall an order for Infinity? Are they going to have to really dig deep to get this win, or should they be able to kind of comfortably meet this win condition as long as there are no big blunders?
I think
that was for you,
I guess I take it.
Me. I throw Ratz in. Get me out of here.
I mean, you can never forget that Plague was Torment's pick, and 8 stages for Fresh is definitely I mean, a really respectable result for both sides, considering the situation. It's not going to be easy, because I kind of expect double apples here, and you kind of expect this killer to use all 3 pools to get the tunnel out relatively quickly, but at the same time, if the RNG of those pools where they are is kind of not in your favor, it's going to be a rough task to get that M1 hit that you are desperately looking for. So it can definitely go both ways. Like, you know, if I don't know who plays killer here for right now for Infinity, but if they've managed to 4K, then, you know, that's also definitely possible, right? Like, if there's a mess up on the survivor side, coordination-wise, not necessarily chase-wise on the side of Torment, Infinity can also definitely take the set still.
Awesome.
Well, that is going to be a very intense trial then, because we heard risk is something you can definitely take here. It worked out for Infinity, but the big question is also, is Torment willed to take it, or if they will not get punished for it, because Nox is a very, very experienced Plague, and if you're pulling too much of a risk against an experienced player, it might backfire on you. So let's see what we're seeing here. We can see that they definitely didn't go for an endgame build, so it seems to be a confident Plague, especially with the Pop Goes the Weasel coming out as well. So we should expect a lot of hook stages across the board. Kerry, will we maybe see a different strategy than the early tunnel out?
Yeah, I think so, and primarily just because of the build we're seeing. I think they're very happy to kind of take lots of different chases. They've got Thanatophobia, they've got Pop, which is, you know, really big. If you're going to play aggressive style, Pop's a great perk to have because you're getting lots of hooks, which means you're getting a lot of gen regression. Also, just having a look around the map, as Nox is doing for us, the gen spread isn't amazing to start with. We've got a little bit of a 3-gen around the main building kind of area. But nothing outstanding like we saw in our first game with Zynox, who had a lovely 4-gen around the top side of the map. So I think we are going to get a completely different playstyle and a bit more aggressive. And it seems like we're getting a bit of a stealth out from our survivors for this Corrupt.
And this is giving me a little bit of nostalgia to 2019, 2020, where stealthing out Corrupt did so much damage to the killer, and we can see it still does. And this is right now even a risky take from the survivor team. If someone would be located right now with no generator pressure so far, it would be so bad for the survivor team, but they are doing it successfully. So an entire perk is going to be denied instant access to 7 generators across the map, and being able to attack those objectives spread and individually is really, really strong from the get-go. Nox will not have the benefit anymore of choosing the luxury location of taking a chase here, but Ivan eventually being found here facing a little puke as well. So injury will now spread, same as the generator pressure here, but this is definitely not the plan that Torment was bringing on the table here.
Yeah, it's an interesting start to things, but we're just going to jump straight back into it with a chase onto Zynox. He's going to go into a little bit of detail there, but we're being welcomed to with a chase round the cow tree. Getting the fast walk given twice, and does eventually get puked on. And I wonder if Nox is going to back away here. Yes, because what I did want to say before that chase started is because the survivors are stealthing out Corrupt, Nox is unable to get his Thana under away. Normally, you want to be able to just kind of be patrolling the map, puking as many survivors as you can, so you can kind of hit them immediately with Thanatophobia. He hasn't been able to do that, but at the same time, as you're pointing out, the generators weren't quite started. Ivan got found just as Corrupt finished, so not too bad for the survivors at all. Here we go, they're going to be aware of Thanatophobia now. Ivan eventually becomes broken, and I think what we're going to see from the Claudette here is a lot of stealth. You don't want to give Plague that fourth bit of Thanatophobia.
Absolutely, yeah. Claudette holds this hide-and-seek responsibility to be successful, and even more, it is important now that this chase is a long one, because you kind of need to compensate the fact that you didn't have generator pressure here. Unfortunate for Nox that Stevie didn't get fully infected in time, but you really need quite some chase time here to compensate for that. First generator already being completed. A lot of pressure onto the left side as well here. So let's see if the Survivor team can keep that up. Stevie is one of the most known 1v1 players as well. Very successful on the ladder, and a lot of people call him Helicopter Survivor because his camera rotates in a very unique way. A lot of memes about that as well. But Stevie, the Helicopter Anderson, is doing a very, very good job here, using this jungle gym, then dropping the pallet, making the most out of it, forcing the way back towards the shack. Nox is tunneling him or at least tunnel visioning him in this chase here, trying to get the down that is really needed to get the pressure start, but Stevie is unstoppable.
Yeah, it's exactly the Survivor Torment want in this situation. We saw a little early blunder at Shaq as he got caught vaulting back through the window, but everything after that was perfect. His long wall jungle gym play was exceptional. He's really stalled that one out, and then going back towards Shaq, didn't make the same mistake again, waited at the window until he saw Plague coming through round the other side and can make it safely back towards the Shaq pallet. Beautiful play from Stevie. As you were saying, he's a fantastic 1v1 player. It's nothing you don't expect from him. Here comes the power now, and Shinna actually dances away. And remember, this is our player we don't want injured, because then Thanatophobia is going to kick in. They're doing so well to hold off for now. They still haven't been hit with the power. They're going around this, making it look like an old god loop. Plague respecting the pallet, because if they get stunned, they lose their oppressive power. Respecting it once more, they get stunned, but Shin does get hit. Thanatophobia in play, but Plague out of power.
Plague out of power. If this trade-off was a good one, is something we will see in the next few seconds here. Nox has to get a down onto this Survivor, and luckily there are no further pallets, so we do a little bit of edge running here, abusing a couple of rocks and going into the very famous comp corner. We do see a beautiful double up in the distance. The solo Survivor finished a generator, so most likely we will be on 4 completed generators together with this hook stage. Now, we remember the win condition. We had 9 on 4 individual survivors, so we would need 10 win conditions, so only 20% of the win con so far. We can say only thank God that Painrest is coming in here, because this allows Nox to have a little bit of more time during this trial here.
Yeah, the chases have been so good from the Torment survivors, and Nox has kind of got a lot of work to do now. Only 1 stage, and they need 7 more with all fresh to meet that tie condition, just to tie it. 9 stages with if they want to win this one. So it's a big tall order for Nox now, and we've got to have the pop uses, we've got to have the pain res uses. They know that gen's going, they've given it up, and now I think we're going to get a little bit of a tunnel.
A little bit of a tunnel is definitely what Nox needs. Hopefully the punishment will not come in too strong here for the killer, meaning that we would go into the end game. We do have the power 3/4 still available, so quite some time to go for the chases here. A little bit of a distant pew not going to be enough, and even the second one doesn't hit because Shinna is making the most out of these edge map resources, aka trees and rocks, and once again we find him in the comp corner. This man is enjoying it.
I'm a little bit scared now here for Nox, because I think these gens are just going to be too far ticked. They're right on the other side of the map. I mean, does Plague even get here in time? They've got to absolutely send it towards main building. They've got pop. Oh, this is going to be close. Thanatophobia maybe slowing things down, but I think 6% when it's just 3 survivors injured. Zynox did well for claims, which means Plague has an extra Vile Purge. If she needs it, she's going to go here, but I think the survivors are left. Okay, pop goes the Weasel, and Nox hangs on for a little bit longer. Infinity could still be in with a chance of taking this first set. Here we go, grabbing another pool of blood.
Another pool of blood coming in, and hopefully this also means that we get a couple of downs and a couple of hook stages, because Nox is still running after the pressure that would be needed 5 minutes ago. The to-do list for the killer is getting longer and longer, and the time is getting tighter. Zynox getting outplayed by a tree, forcing him back into this loop here. We do see a little bit of running around, trying to delay their hit with the power or the weapon as long as possible. It's coming in now, and Zynox doesn't really have anything to work with except this tile here, so we are just going in circles and circles, and it's actually showing us the power of the edge map tiles combined with hope here. This is incredible!
I mean, this game really is just ring around the roses. Zynox must have done about 15 laps of that hay bale, hope coming in clutch. But Yeah, the survivors done so well there. The chases were just so good. Nox unable to close them down in time, and that's going to result with 3 survivors out the door once Ivan eventually gets out of there. Just 5 stages for our killer. So it's going to be in Torment. It's definitely Torment taking the first victory. Got my teams mixed up there. A well-deserved one. Yes, Infinity did well to try to bounce back, but I think Torment all around, they had a very impressive start as killer and beautiful chases from Survivor. I think that's why they won that one, guy.
Absolutely beautifully played. After Zynox finished Mario Kart, we can now also go into the analyze of the first set. But what we can definitely agree on is that Torment came out very dominant here. And problematic is when you give too much momentum to the opponent team, giving them too much of confidence when they go into the next set, especially in a best of 3, it now counts for Infinity already. If they don't win the second set, they are out of the winter circuit, so they need a good performance here. Unfortunately, Torment is riding the wave right now, filled with confidence, filled with positive energy about their performance. So, Ratz, when we talk about the break that is happening, our teams have 4 minutes to set it up. We're going into Artist. We talked about it. Definitely not an easy set when the Survivor team is playing coordinated. Torment just did that. If they do it again, Infinity will be struggling, right?
They definitely will. It's gonna be rough. I mean, you've seen how well Torment can play Survivor on M1 chases, even against the power of Plague. And I know, and you've also already said that in the campfire chat in the very beginning, Torment is, I mean, the Artist is a very game sense orientated killer and not so much chase, because if you play Artist correctly, there's not necessarily anything that the survivors can do. But the same is said for Demo, and Demo is a known pick for Torment, and they play well that set too. So it's gonna be rough for sure on Artist, mechanically speaking, but also coordination wise, right? It's gonna be. It's definitely interesting to see if the killer from Infinity is going to be able to shut down those chases with the ability from the Artist power quickly. I really hope they do, because otherwise they're gonna go into a big struggle, especially on this map like the main building of Feather Campus, where the windows can be extremely strong, and if you are unable to get those crows and the hits and stuff, it's gonna be big troubles.
Carrie, looking onto first of all, thank you, Ratz. Carrie, if you are looking onto Artist, Father Campbell Chapel, and this wave of energy Torment has, how optimistic are you for Infinity to make the turn here?
Look, I think it's going to be tricky, and as Ratz said, Nox really needs to be on point with shutting down these guys from chasing for a while. I think the reason why I still have some hope for Infinity, not just because they are a fantastic team, but also because when you're playing as Plague, a lot of the time you don't have your really good chase power, and Torment definitely exploited that fact with some really good basic Survivor fundamentals. As artists, you've always got these birds who are so good, and if you use them right, you're going to be able to shut it down. No one can survive that long against an artist. So I think if Nox is able to do that, then they can implement the rest of their game plan. They should be fine. And from the Survivor side, from Infinity, seeing them having bounced back from a really tricky situation, and the way they managed the first game as survivors, I thought they did a really good job. So I would definitely not write them off. I think if Nox can shut down the Survivor element from Team Torment, and if they basically just do the same again as Survivor, I think we should be looking at a game 3 here. I would not write them off at all.
And an absolute shout out needs to be given for Torment and Infinity for preparing the lobbies. We have to say, first of all, we have to give a shout out to DBDL, of course. First of all, shout out to us for cutting down the lobby times and being stricter with the penalties to scare these gamers a little bit. But Infinity and Torment are way below the 4-minute mark they have, and very well prepared with their in-game names and their builds in time into the match chat. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the 16 Survivor perks and the 4 killer perks need to be locked in before going into the first trial of each set. So teams really well on that. So big shout out to that. It's always great to see when we are going as quick into the matches like right now. And we have the artist, Father Campbell's Chapel, difficult killer. On the other hand, really struggling if we have a coordinated survivor team that is helping each other and causing that a chased survivor can take some distance. So let's see what's coming out here. Infinity definitely under pressure, needs to turn around this best of 3 as early as possible, and in best case even the first 1 or 2 minutes, getting some downs, getting some hook stages, and shutting down the dominant performance of Torment right from the get-go. There's Stevie, our very impressive helicopter 1v1er, and there is Nox coming in, especially after the Plague game that was not going according to plan. This is even more struggle potentially.
Yeah, well, I know Nox does have a good artist, so I'm sure they won't be too shaken by it. No, they got unfortunate in some situations, and they're going to be aimed to bounce right back. No stealthing out from Corrupt this time either. We're straight into things. Zynox against Nox. It's Nox on Nox, and they're leaving it. I was so looking forward to casting that one, but Nox has decided he's going to head across the map and chase somebody else. I'm so sad.
Unfortunately not going to happen for you later on maybe, but it's an understandable decision, rotating back towards this area here where we have multiple active generators and where we see the potential pressure. We can send some crows over as well. Shag, one of the more difficult tiles to loop around, not going for this crow here either, as he was expecting that Ivan would stay on the Shag a little bit longer, blocking the pallet with the crow. And Ivan here with a very interesting decision making. He does allow the M1, but takes the speed boost to go back towards the center section of the Father Campbell's Chapel here. Really, really good move, using the life as well. And now see, he took the M1, but he traveled across the entire map instead of being zoned there on the edge flip tile. Very impressive play here by Ivan.
Yeah, well, Caster's cursed there a little bit as he gets taken down by a bird across the pallet. But it was really, really good. The decision-making there to take the M1 hit instead of taking the crow hit was really good. It means Artist has a bit more of a cooldown. He can make it across the map using his life, going towards the corrupted area, which still would have been up because there hadn't been a down yet in the game. Means he's not going to be interrupting his teammates on generators, and we see the fruits of that, right? A generator's already popped. And now I get my Nox on Nox action. Nox chasing Zynox, crows him up already. Now I wonder how many birds was used. I think it was just one because the other birds have been set up and he gets injured. Kind of double sword cross. I don't know how to describe that, but whatever it was fantastic from Nox. And they're applying pressure as they should be.
And there is the pressure as you asked for it. Second generator coming out here already. Ivan on the hook will be guarded. We have a very wonderful hill next to the hook as well, cutting down the directions where you can attack the hook down to just one. But even that is perfectly coordinated by Team Torment, taking an M1, immediately rotating in, and we do see the clear decision by Nox that is going to be trying. Oh, that's not going to work, buddy. But now going further onto the clear, TNL, fourth injury coming out as well, especially with Sloppy Butcher. This is going to be a very painful challenge the survivors are facing now, because all these resets are definitely going to take some good time from them.
It's going to take a lot of time, and I don't think we've got any other gen progress happening. I think those two gens of Pops was the only gens that were being worked on as we saw them going quite quickly. So although it looks pretty good for the survivors right now, with 2 generators popped for one stage, we've got 3 people injured, another one going down if we get the grab we do, and I don't think there's like a lot of gen progress at all. And we're going to see another pain res, hopefully, if this one is indeed one. And we've got a complete double reset on the other side of the map. Thank you, Ratz.
Yeah, this is really what we needed here for Team Infinity. We were talking about it. You have this dominant performance from set 1. You have this confidence the Survivor team has gained throughout the previous trial. And now they're coming into the Artist set, and you really need to set them a limit. And this is what Nox did here, saying, you won't have the same long chases this time. You will be hooked in a difficult spot. On the other hand, we need to make sure that we are aware that 3 generators and 3 generators are remaining are all located on the bottom side. So this hill hook here and the strict defense of it is quite surprising to me, because theoretically the Survivor team can grind the generators without repercussions right now.
I think so, but as we were saying earlier, I don't think those gens have a lot of progress, so it would cost a lot just to sit there, and Nox is probably ready to, after second stage has been confirmed, just go out there and harass them, so they probably wouldn't get too much done. So I can understand the trade coming in here, but yeah, really, really good for Nox actually right now. As we get another tag all the way through, Zynox has just been sniped by these birds all across the match. They can't hide, nowhere is safe. I know we're going to get a hit. No, this time he avoids it, but the heartbeat of a crow flying close to him gives Nox some information, gets stuck on the box, turns it into a mind game by moonwalking backwards. I don't know if that was intention from the start. I do that a lot. And now trying to cut off Zynox as he goes round towards the non-pallet side of this pallet gym. The firecracker is nicely played. Nox has to respect it a little bit. And is he going to lose Zynox? Can Zynox slip away? Or will Nox take down Zynox? I love casting these two names. He's still there. He's still around the other side of the wall. Nox now hunting down Zynox and he just runs past the bird, not afraid of Nox's birds. And I've got to stop because I'm confusing myself.
Little brother Zynox is being chased by Nox, and third generator coming out as well. So far, every single down being punished with a generator. They were ready to even go for the pallet save here just a few seconds later, and it would have been successful. We are rotating back into this little tile here. That's going to be generator number 4 on the way. Generator number 5 just started, so we still have some time on the killer side. Shinar here, one of the most responsible unhookers on the side of Team Torment, is already getting into position again, hiding and stealthing around the main building here. Nox now, though, feeling the pressure and being well aware that the generators are going to be progressed, is going towards the other side of the map now, playing more aggressively, and I feel like this was the perfect moment to give up on the consequent tunnel and camping strategy and get more onto the survivors that are repairing the generators.
I think so, but again, we've had another kind of cross-bird map snipe, and this time it's onto Zynox again. He gets sniped. He just manages to get rid of it down on top of the pallet. Now, there will 100% be a survivor lurking around here to prevent this quick tunnel out, because I don't think we've got DS onto Zynox, not that I saw of anyway, and Nox knows it, which is why they're so scared. Here we go. We've got 2 survivors around here, and yes, okay, it's Shinra, the one who unhooked, is ready there for the pallet save, just buying time, and this is taking quite a while. They're going to pick up, but I don't think they get it in time. That's going to be a pallet save. No, what? That Artist actually somehow gets out of there. Zynox goes down. Shinak can't believe it. But we're definitely going to get at least 1 gem pop for that. Can we get to that final gem popped, or are we going to go to a more drawn out end game?
Yeah, this is going to be the funeral music now for Zynox. They're very, very sad to see that Elimination Survivor team was really trying to keep him alive, but a good distant goal once again on the Survivor. Can there be a follow-up onto the Survivor? No injury, but pop goes the Weasel, coming in and causing so much damage now. The bad news is for Nox that we have a very, very split remaining generator here. One is pulled all the way towards the shack. They are already doubling it up. It's on 50%, so the seconds are running out here, but you may have enough time to go for a couple of snipes. Actually, a double snipe coming in on Ivan and Shinar here. Very, very good and very intense now. The question is, will we see more of these snipes? Will we get an injury? Will we get a last second turn? The answer is no for now. 60% on the final generator on the shack side. Meanwhile, we need to defend this one. Survivor left early whatsoever. Balanced landing coming in clutch as well here. So much on the table right now. So much back and forth between survivors and killers. So far, Survivor team still the upper hand, but if this is a quick down, it might turn the table here.
Possibly. I mean, I don't think Nox can defend this like final gen at all. I think it's going to be pop regardless. It's just how much value can he get off it, and Ivan comes off knowing that Stevie is the most valuable survivor with 3 fresh hooks still remaining on them. Doesn't want them to go down. The final gen does get popped, and I'm sure we're going to see more body blocking from Ivan. Stevie now taking another famous loop round his shack. He goes towards a fall in a tight spot now. Already injured, got crows around him. Here they come, and none of them hit. Now where is Ivan? Can he take the hit in time? No, Stevie goes down at the edge of the map, and I think we're just going to confirm this kill, and that'll be all she wrote. Ivan trying to help, but he's not going to get anything. Is Nox going to try and follow this up?
It seems like some risk now from the killer side and not from the survivors this time. Infinity really wants to push it into the tiebreaker. Infinity knows that it would be better to get a second survivor down here. On the other hand, Stevie is a fresh hook, so it would at least bring you up towards 8 stages, and that seems to be a result you can be happy with, especially when you achieve it last second in the trial and secure a couple of additional stages here. On the other hand, they are going for the reset in the distance carry. They might come back and pull something crazy here.
This is what happens when you play first as Survivor. You know, the first half, you're not quite sure what your win condition is. So they've opened the gate, and I'd be super excited to see if they're going to go for an ambitious rescue here. Artist is pretty decent at defending it when she's got her crows up, because if you get hit directly with them, it's a straight injury. Anything through a wall, that's going to send crows around you, and a follow-up crow will do the damage. We've got 2 survivors now lining up, sneaking in. I'm sure a heartbeat would have been heard on Shinha there as they go in. And Sprint Burst, they're going for it! Shinha sprints in, gets the unhook with desperate measures, which means there's no instant trade. Now Ivan has to take a hit. This is so crucial. Are we going to see Bird following up? Yes, we are. Maybe setting up a slingshot. Stevie gets hit, and I think they're going to be able to make it out. Ivan doing fantastic on their body blocks. He's blocked the Artist the whole way. They're going to get everyone out here. It's just going to have to be 6 stages. My voice can't take it. What a rescue.
Look at that last second dodge from Claudette, making sure that she doesn't go down by any of the 3 crows that were fired into the exit gate there, and they are actually pulling it. We talked about it, 8 stages would have been a great result. Now we are talking about 6 stages across 4 survivors. The good news is it's across 4 survivors, but 6 stages is definitely not what Infinity is aiming for. And we talked about it earlier with Ratz, our analyst. We talked about risk, how it's sometimes needed, but how it can be punished. Ratz, was it too much of a try here to hunt too many survivors and not securing the hook stages they had, potentially also giving up on this final hook stage too easy?
I think it was definitely a better choice than commit for the tunnel out. I mean, you've seen the first chase, the first down was delayed by so much. It took so long, like it took the killer so long to get that initial down as soon as it happened. Like the first gen already popped, the next gen was only like 40%. And then we've seen this hill gen, which the hill hook was like a painless, and you also have the pop goes to weasel. So I would definitely understand the decision to camp that and then also take the trades, like all the other hook stages that the killer's gotten for free. And also the sloppy butcher, which I want to touch on later on as well, like the decision to run it, slowing down the game significantly to then allow them again to commit for a tunnel out, because at the end of the day, once you've used most of your painless hooks, you'll have to commit for something else anyways, and at that point it will be better to keep one survivor, like to try and kill one survivor and keep the other people, let's say fresh, or at least only hooked once, because otherwise you'll have like 2 survivors that are death hook later on in the end game coming in to take downs for people that you want to kill in the end game. So I definitely understand that decision. It was, I think, also the right one there to slow down the game and get those fresh hooks and the slowdown with the painless hooks to guarantee more stages than you would technically if you get the quick tunnel out. Because then you would maybe end up with like 4 or 5 stages even, if the survivors punish you for it.
I want to quick.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree, and I want to quickly ask on that final kind of end game sequence we saw with the survivors going back in. I mean, that to me just seemed like Torment were brimming with confidence. We don't often see survivors going for that risky play. Is that something, like, let's say you were in that situation, you would have called for as survivors, or would you have said, no, let's just take 8 stages, we can probably match that with Killer?
It definitely comes on with confidence, right? Like, if the gate was close to the hook, then I would say, yeah, I guess might as well try it, because you can't forget, the survivor who was hooked was fresh hook. And even if anybody else gets down in that situation, it will be the same exact result, 8 stages for fresh. Because everybody was hooked once. The person that got hooked was fresh, basically hooked once. So as long as they get them off the hook, and even if somebody goes down again, it's the same result. So that you don't really have anything to lose other than the risk of having multiple people go down in that situation, right? You can't give multiple downs to that bird later on, sure. But the fact that the hook was so far away from the gates makes it look like a really comfortable thing for Torment to do, to go for that. Oops, I left the lobby, I won't lie, I'm sorry. Getting invited here. Definitely like a really, really confident thing to do. What I also wanted to touch on was the pick of Sloppy Butcher, because you could argue, well, it's Artist, you have like the crows. You're gonna get those hits with those crows, that doesn't apply to Sloppy Butcher. However, how we've seen the first chase, survivors don't want to get hit by those crows. They rather take an M1 hit, because first of all, that's a longer cooldown for the Artist, you get more distance from it, and also the crows might as well zone you if you get hit by them, or potentially zone you if you get hit by them, in a way that you will not be able to have a long chase after. And if you say, okay, I'm gonna get hit by a crow for like 90% unless the killer actually messes up, I'll just take the M1 hit and go to position where I want to take the chase. And you've seen that in the first chase, it worked out for the survivors beautifully, going to the main building, using light, and then having a chase in an area where there's no 3-gen anymore. And therefore, we have seen the Sloppy Butcher on every single survivor that was in the reset late in the early game, where we had the first hook and then everybody injured. And that got a lot of value, slowing down the game significantly, so definitely a very, very good perk choice, and I think also very confident to take Sloppy over, for example, a No One Escapes death there.
Very good. Thank you, Ratz, and we'll let you get back into sorting out the game for us. You're doing such a good job multitasking. I'll come back to you, Di, now. So we've got 6 stages to work with. Can Infinity defend them? I mean, we saw them bounce back really well in that earlier Plague set, somewhat 3 games ago now. But Torment, Zynox, he was really good. He was really good when he was playing as Plague. 6 stages might just feel quite comfortable for him, no?
Yeah, that's the difficult thing right now. Like, Torment is so close to getting the 2-0 here and not dropping from the winter circuit. So that itself is already putting you in a good spot, because you know, if this is going wrong, we still have the tiebreaker. So you're not falling so much. It's not like the pressure of I need to perform out of my mind or we are out. So you have a little bit of safety in the back pocket. Secondly, your survivor team just put you in an amazing spot. 6 stages win condition, tie condition, meaning 7 stages being the win condition. That is doable on the Artist. That is not a win condition where we say from the get-go, wow, he needs to play out of his mind. We wish he would have, I don't know, a Devour Hope, pulling something risky, crazy, otherwise it won't work. It is something that really is doable and realistic here. So he has in the back pocket that the 2-0 is possible here, having the backup as a tiebreak. We have a good win condition. You have a good mood in the VC, that's for sure. After pulling these stages out of the door on this side of Torment, they are pretty much hyping it. Maybe they are even dancing salsa down there. I have no idea, but they are definitely celebrating this. And they are going into this game with a very nice mindset and a good motivation. And I do feel confident that Zynox is pulling it. If anything is supposed to prevent that, then they need an early game out of their mind here.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that it's not out of the realm of possibility for Infinity to win this. Like, some seriously strong chases, and they're right back in it. Artists, yes, as you were saying, they're a really good killer, and 6 stages should normally be quite a comfortable result, especially as you were mentioning, the morale is going to be high in the Torment camp. But they're not Nurse, they're not Blight, they're not like kind of guaranteed hits all the time. So really, really strong performances from survivors. Could see Infinity claw this one and just kind of stumble themselves into a game 3. But that is to come. We're into the 4th game of this match. Zynox now is got the 7 hands, but also running this milk jug add-on, and I wonder if your artist knowledge is better than me. Otherwise, I can do a quick emergency research as to what that does.
Yeah, already go on your research there. Okay. Sometimes, like, especially when they are changing the effect, like on Artist, before they made a couple of tweaks, I could have told you very confidently, but now I'm not entirely sure anymore. But that's why we have a lot of research going on in the background. We'll tell you in a moment. And we do have our Nancy coming out on the first chase here. That is going to be Steaks, French Looper, Serial, and Nox, and no injuries so far, not even the application of the Crows, so that is kind of what we are looking for when we are talking about the performance of Team Infinity and how they could potentially make a change here, trying to go with the crouch tag. Crow not even needed, because now the distance has been cut so short that a normal M1 is just going to be enough. We can only hope that Nancy is on a good run here. We already see trying to take as much distance as possible, but will be left with a TNL wall, and that usually, especially against an artist, cuts the chase relatively short.
It normally does, but didn't pull the trigger on the birds as she went through the L wall there, takes the Crows and is actually surviving for a little bit longer, but didn't see the red stain as she cut back through. Nancy just missing that check by a fraction. They were actually doing really well there. And I can come back with confirmation. This milk jug is actually thick tar, which increases the repel duration by 0.5 seconds. So it takes longer to get rid of the birds once they're on you. Normally we see in pairing with the Severed Hands is the Fester and Carry On, which reduces the cooldown time of launch after you launch the birds by 0.5 seconds. So Zynox doesn't have that, but it's increased duration for repelling the birds. That is what our milk jug, as I'm renaming the perk to, that is what it's now called, does for us now.
A few birds being sent over the map again. Watch out, Sniper, but unfortunately not finding a target here. It is so satisfying when you go for a few snipes across the map and then see when they are hitting, especially because you also get so much information about which generators are being attacked, but actually 2 generators are being completed on the side of Infinity. 6 more stages to go. We do see the Kobe mechanic is now active as Zynox is farming a minus weapon for camping, but ladies and gentlemen, the survivors are not allowed to use this new mechanic, so just going to stay on the hook, but will be rescued and trying for a flashlight save once again here, but this time it's not going to work. But Infinity on a grind when we are talking about pulling crazy comebacks.
I'm going to be so sad if they get eliminated here, because I'm loving the flashlights attempts to TOR Plague, and we've already got one already, and I'm sure Serial will be back with his beamer if things do get even more dire. Dire is in a bad situation, not my lovely co-presenter, I wasn't handing off to you. Nox then takes a hit away back towards the bottom side of the map, and Zynox now sitting around. I think what's important to note as well is if we find another fresh, if we get another down and we find a fresh survivor and we can camp them out all the way to 7 stages, that's something Zynox can do. So that's the advantage of going second as killer. Once you're kind of one survivor down away from securing your win condition, you can just sit there and camp them out, and there's not normally a lot that survivors can do. So we'll see if that comes into play in a bit, but it looks like for now Zynox is just confirming second stage onto French Looper.
Second stage on French Looper means that they have 55 seconds to prevent a potential elimination here, and we do see that Serial is trying to prevent exactly that, trying to go for it, but the hit is coming out quickly. That is very likely just going to be the 1-1 trade. Yeah, Claudette is now going to leave as quick as possible, but French Looper actually dancing a little bit in front of the killer, saying, "Take me as a bait," but then Killer decides to go for the hook onto Serial here. 3 stages so far, almost half-time when we are talking about achieving the win condition here, but I would still say the Survivor team right now is in a good position. They have 2 minutes of hang time now onto Serial. They have gotten Claudette away from being eliminated or tunnel out. It's definitely not leaning towards the killer so far. There are a lot of possibilities right now.
No, it's not going to be an easy conversion for Zynox, but I do think the survivors still need to make some kind of big play, a big chase, or just reduce all the pressure from Zynox by some good kind of stealth or immersion. Something needs to happen from the survivor side, otherwise I'm definitely seeing at least 7 or 8 stages here. But let's see what Nancy can do as she takes the chase. Bandit's landing, taking her towards Pala Gym, and Zynox might give this one up in order to try and confirm second stage onto Serial. A nice cross map there onto Nox, who got back into this gen. And we're lining up a second one. I hope this one doesn't connect. That could be a throw. A missed skill check on the gen. Maybe as they're getting off it, scared of the birds. I don't think someone's coming to save Serial. I think they're going to hit second stage here.
And that would already mean that all this time bonus we talked about, when you exchange survivors on the hook for one another and gaining additional hanging time, is kind of breaking apart now, because they have not made the exchange with Serial so far, meaning whenever Serial is going onto the hook next, he is eliminated. Nox has 2 minutes of hang time onto them, Stakes and French Looper 1 minute each, and you kind of need these time boosters now, because you have one on the hook, one being in chase actively right now, 2 injured survivors as well, so that is going to be a very high risk that is being taken by the survivors, and always ends in these very quick trade-offs. Zynox will just happily take Nancy. They are even trying to go for a potential flashlight save here, so Mending is now coming on top. Yes, 1 generator to go until endgame, but it feels a little bit chaotic on the side of Infinity, Carry.
It does, but here's the situation, right? Because Nox is still fresh, they can let Nancy die, and if they somehow manage to get everyone out the door, that will be a win, because they've got 3 fresh hooks. So this is still very up in the air. They can leave Nancy to die, especially because she's in basement. I wonder if Zynox might try and read that and just not protect this one at all. The trouble is, for for Infinity, is that these gens are pretty close to that hook, and they're all quite close together.
Yeah, this is difficult. Now you also have your final survivor in the basement, so even harder to go down there. They are taking the full reset. Honestly, even if they start sprinting across the map now, I don't think they will get Nancy out of the basement anymore, especially because Artist will not miss the chance to go for the elimination. There's Zynox rotating back towards the shack, was trying to locate the reset, does find Serial here as well, definitely experiencing Counter-Strike there, but we do see the quick jump into the locker, getting rid of the crows here, but that should be the cut down to 3 standing survivors here, greatly dropping the generator efficiency and the generator pressure, and that also means that Infinity now facing a difficult situation in this game, the best of 3 starting to lean towards Torment here. 1 more stage carry and they have to leave.
Yeah, that's the thing. Zynox can just chase someone down, and as long as they get them down and get them onto a hook, it's going to be GG. The trouble is, if you commit too far away and the survivor takes a miracle chase, you could completely throw it. So Zynox doesn't want to get too ahead of themselves here. It's still likely that Infinity could claw this one back, but as you were saying, they need just 1 more down and they will be through to the next round, and we'll have to be saying goodbye to Infinity, but there's still a little bit of time for Infinity. They can still breathe some life into this game. Here comes Claudette, who's going to make their way towards the shack and does so safely. I shouldn't be seeing a hit here as they get towards the pallet. Are they going to drop it? No. Brave, but tries to come back and takes an M1 straight to the face. They're going to have to run away, and if they go down, it is over, so they really need to get away here. A nice firecracker play, delays slightly, but they need a teammate to come and take a hit because this pallet is not safe at all.
Yeah, this is one of the most unsafe pallets the Asia has ever designed. They were cooking right there, and Serial trying to go for the flashlight save. This time it's understandable because this hook stage will mark the end of Infinity's run in the Winter Circuit 2024. You showed us great and intense gameplay, and we congratulate you for performances you can definitely be proud of, but Torment is taking it in a 2-0 on the Plague and on the Artist here. Wonderful gameplay by them. They will move forward towards the semi-finals of the lower bracket being played tomorrow later on in the evening. And now you would rather finish it off with a nice 4K here, speaking from the side of Torment, to prepare for tomorrow.
Yeah, you want to see how clinical you can be and how you can work against, you know, some really top survivors in order to prepare you slightly. I do want to give a shout out, a personal caster shout out to Serial, who's been an absolute joy to watch. I love seeing his hat poke behind the rock there in multiple instances, and also for French Looper. Remember when we saw Claudette earlier kind of dance around the hook after the save? I think she was loitering for a firecracker save, having seen her use it a little bit later. So I want a big shout out to Infinity for providing some excellent content and some very enjoyable matches. High intensity, nothing slow. It's been really fun to watch. Well, we are going to be closing this one out. French Looper has got someone there to take a hit. Detective tap. How much can he body block? The slingshot gets set up. So, Tack runs away, lets French Looper die, and is gonna go do something else, but not help French Looper. That's the moral of the story.
He is off to something else, a new mission, a new challenge for Serial and Nox again. Unfortunately, not getting the final generator yet, and Pop Goes the Weasel putting up some punishment once again here. So sad, actually, that this is not going into the tiebreaker set, because I feel like these two teams, Infinity and Torment, would have deserved a tiebreaker because it's such an intense matchup, and especially Infinity would have deserved at least one additional set here to show off. Therefore, we can only say great performances here. Serial received the shout-out already. Nox doing well in the killers, but he as well trying to fight and get the absolute best out of what the game is giving to their hands. Serial here showing us a good looping action across around the shack here once again, manages to even make it towards this filler pallet here, hopefully staying alive for a little bit longer, because then we will go into endgame.
Will be treated to one final chase from our Infinity team before they depart the winter circuit. Going to be bolted through Shack very, very comfortably. We've got quite a few birds set up, and Cyril not quite sure where to go. Are they going to take a bird to the face? This is going to be close. Runs straight into it, but also runs into the Artist. No Ed is absolutely shooting in the 1v1. Disgusting behaviour from Psydox. Really, really well done, and a lovely little chase to end things off. What I do want to quickly say as well is how important was that run back in and save from Torment. I know we're finishing with 9 stages, but Infinity ended up playing in a way because they're desperately trying not to get another stage. Having 6 stages to defend instead of 8 stages was massive for Torment. So a really, really confident and bold decision that clearly paid off for them, though.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is back to risk, our main topic for this best of 3 here. Sometimes risk is paying off, and sometimes you really need to pull back, or you need to accept that something happening, because if you take something risky, you will be punished.